This is Not a Werewolf Story by Sandra Evans, Chapter 8, where you learn the rest of the secret. Since then, I've found out there's a lot more at the lighthouse than swallows' nests and broken windows. And so tonight, like every Friday night, I leave Dean Swift at the door with a smile and a wave. I start down the road. At first, I think about the other kids and what their weekends will be like. It's Mary Ann's turn to take Bobo home, and I wonder if her mom will be mad about the dog hair on her car upholstery. I wonder if Sparrow's grandma lets them crack the eggs this time when they make brownies. I should write her a letter and tell her not to worry so much about salmonella. That's what soap and water are for, lady. I think about the Venn diagram Vincent made showing me how he was going to prank his stepdad. A flowchart would have been more effective. I wonder what will happen when Mean Jack sticks a hand in his bag for a clean pair of socks and comes up with Gollum. Man, I'd like to hear that mobster yelp. Then I notice how the brown branches of the cherry tree have green buds. The winter months are the hardest. It's cold and the snow hurts my hands and feet when I walk. The woods get dark too early, and there is a lonesome sound in the wind. In the spring, though, the wind talks to the new leaves, and the birds answer back, each with its own song. I'm always part of the conversation there. The sound of my breath when I run hard tells the woods I'm alive too, and so does the thump of my feet as I skim across the forest floor, and the howl of my voice as I seek and find the moon and my mother. But wait, this afternoon there's a big problem. As I'm walking down the road, I feel someone watching me. I stop. I turn around. The road behind me is empty. I keep walking, but the feeling won't go away. I stop again. I look into the trees and up into the branches. Tuffman. He's sitting in the forked branches of an ash tree, and he's watching me. I catch most of my scream, but not all of it. He drops to the ground. It must be 20 feet or more. He lands on both feet, his knees slightly bent. Like it's nothing to jump out of a tree and land on your feet and not break every bone in your legs. Hiya, Raoul, he says. All the hairs stand up on the back of my neck. His voice sounds like the voice of a bad guy in a movie. Friendly, but like he wants to hurt you. You heading down to meet your dad? He asks. My chest feels empty, and my head is too full to think. It's funny how he never comes to the door like the other parents, he says. I shrug. You ever hear of natural law? It's the way of the woods. Big things chase littler things, he says. You're not safe alone, not in these woods. You know how sometimes you get a tiny voice whispering to you to get out of a bad situation? Right about now, my tiny voice gets a megaphone. Get away from this guy. I start walking again, quickly, but something in me thinks that if I run, he'll chase me. He follows along, a step behind me. We pass the point where I usually duck into the woods and head toward the lighthouse. Every step I take, my stomach feels emptier, my hands wetter, my pulse quicker. Why won't he go away? I don't want to miss sunset. The secret only happens at sunset. Will it work if I get there after? If I miss a weekend, will it work the next one? Here's the problem with magic. What if it's like baking bread? Cook Patsy told me that flour, water, sugar, salt, and yeast will only make bread if you use the exact right amounts and the exact right temperatures. What if the magic of White Deer Woods only works when every step is exactly right? We can see the highway. I don't know what to do. Will he wait for my dad with me? When my dad doesn't come, will he make me go back to the school? Will he make me climb the rope and run lines in the gym all weekend and drink protein shakes that taste like barf and chalk? The wind comes down the hill from the water behind us. My nose twitches. There's a bad smell somewhere in it. On top of the smell of pine needles, there's a kitty litter reptile smell I know from somewhere. When I look back, Tuffman is staring at me. You worried about that coyote living in the blackout tunnel? He asks. Bingo, it's the blackout tunnel smell. For a second, I feel relieved, like you do when you figure something out. Then it terrifies me, because it means his nose is as sharp as mine. The area has too many predators already, doesn't it? He asks. I'm curious, Raoul. He takes a long stride and then swings around and stops in front of me. I'm curious, he repeats. Dean Swift tells all the teachers that you're the expert on white deer woods. Dean Swift talks about me to the teachers? Tell me, Raoul. The proud feeling shrivels up. I don't like how he keeps saying my name. Tell me about the woods. What kind of predators have you come across out there, Raoul? Tuffman's eyes are so intense they paralyze me. For a second, I don't see anything but the yellow rings around his pupils. I feel like I have to answer his question. He stares at me. Anything bigger than a coyote out there, Raoul? I open my mouth. The secret is about to fall out. We both hear the engine coming down the hill at the same time. My mouth shuts. Tuffman glances back over his shoulder. When he looks away from me, I blink. I've been keeping this secret for a year. Did I almost tell it to Tuffman just now? I cross my arms over my chest. I'm cold. He turns back to me. You should stay out of the blackout tunnel, Raoul. I nod. I'm trying not to look at him, but when he says my name, I can't help it. Coyote'd make a meal of a loner like you, I guarantee it. You go back to that tunnel, and you'll be sorry. A car passes us slowly. It stops and backs up. Dean Swift rolls down the window. I'm so happy to see him that if he reached over and unlocked the door, I'd jump in. Is everything okay? He asks. Raoul and I were having a chat about the natural order, about the way there can only be one predator in a territory, Tuffman says. Is that what we were talking about? Dean Swift tilts his head and looks at me. His eyes pop a little. I must look as freaked out as I feel. I thought you left hours ago, Mr. Tuffman, the dean says. Now it's Tuffman's turn to blink and look a little nervous. I forgot something, he says, so I came back for it. I forgot the key to my house. Can you believe it? Dean Swift looks like he can tell Tuffman is lying. Then he looks at me like he's trying to figure out what the heck is going on here exactly. He gives me a quick smile. I take another breath. I can tell it'll be all right. Somehow I'll get to the lighthouse by sunset. So, Dean Swift finally says, did you get it? What? Tuffman asks. Your key, did you get it? No. So where are you going now, Tuffman? Dean Swift says really slowly. It's a question, but he doesn't make it sound like one. Tuffman's face is bright red. To get the key, he says with a big gulp. Dean Swift nods. Hop in. I'll give you a ride back. Unless you think you left your house key in the middle of this road. Tuffman ducks his head. He lopes over and gets in. Dean Swift starts to put the car in reverse and then looks out the window again. You need anything, Raoul? He asks. I give him a huge smile. No, Dean Swift. I think I'm okay. My dad'll be here any minute. Dean Swift nods at me. Okay, his face says to me. You go meet your dad. I keep walking. I feel Tuffman watching me in the side view mirror as the car turns around and heads back up the hill. I turn slightly and then stop myself. It's a wood instinct alive in me. Don't look back at an animal who is stalking you. My mind focuses. My muscles tense. The truth is sitting hidden in the facts, like Dean Swift says. I'm not the only one of my kind. I'm not the only one with a secret. Didn't White Deer call Vincent this morning? And the swarming crows and his name. Isn't that proof? Woods hat magic happens to other people too. Maybe it happened to Tuffman. Okay, now you need to know what happens in the woods. Remember how I found the lighthouse? There's more. 2 weekends later, I was fishing in the lake. It was a Friday right before dusk. First, the woods went silent. Every warm body covered in fur or feather went still. Every bird twitter, every frog croak, every cricket thrum, every bee buzz, every leaf flutter, every rabbit nose twitch, every pebble click, every water lap. Every living noise stopped. Then, in the middle of that silence, there was a boom! So loud, that I thought someone had fired one of the old cannons hidden in the cliffs. I looked across the lake in the direction of the sound. From behind the low, swinging branches of a red cedar appeared a big white deer with antlers as black as a newly paved road. It rocked toward me and it spoke to me. It told me what to do so that someone I had lost could return to me. I listened so hard I forgot to breathe. What would you do to see your mom if you had lost her? Would you go hungry? Would you run for miles and miles? Would you walk in the snow barefoot or under a boiling sun in a fur coat? Yes, 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 you would. I can't tell you the exact words White Deer said. That will always be a secret that I must keep. All I can say is that White Deer told me the Light of the Woods had spoken to my mother and told her where to find me, that she had been lost to me, but that I could never be lost to her. I put my pole down. Dandelion fluff floated everywhere. I walked out into the water, the twirling seeds catching the last of the day's light and dancing all around me. I dunked my head 3 times and said the things White Deer told me to say. Then the woods were illuminated, but not from the sky above. It was from under and inside every dark, damp place. I saw light everywhere. Glowing hunks of green gold in the crevices where logs rotted to the forest floor. Foxfire. Then I saw the will-o'-the-wisp. Over the lake it bounced and shimmered, reaching back to me and hurrying ahead of me, drawing me forward. As the sun slipped back and away behind the sea, I followed a path of light to the old lighthouse. I felt something watching me and running beside me again, and this time, because of White Deer, I knew who it was, and my face was dripping with tears. I wasn't bawling. It was just like water flowing down a river. It was my whole heart in that river of tears, and I was happy. When I came to the clearing on the cliff, the lighthouse lit up. The light wasn't coming from inside it, though. The lichen on the tower glowed pale green like water breaking on sand in the morning. On the threshold, the flowers called bleeding hearts bloomed. I pushed aside the red, green, gold ivy that covered the door. The soft leaves bent toward me and then away. They whispered to me in the language of leaves. I walked into the lighthouse. I took off my damp clothes, folded them, and tucked them into the iron stove like White Deer said. Wings beat in the lantern room above, and I remembered the swallows and wondered if they had come home too. Then the change came. I can't tell you how it happens. It doesn't hurt. My spine sparks. My skin prickles. It feels warm like it does when you stretch out in the cool grass under a summer sun. My ears pull up. My nose twitches and my teeth sharpen. The pads of my fingers and toes press against the broken up linoleum floor of the lighthouse. Do you know how good it feels to have a tail? Humans were meant to have tails. You don't know until you have one just how much you've missed it. You can't imagine what I smell. Clover, dirt, bee pollen, frog spit, moss, bunny rabbit breath, blackberry leaves, water. You can't imagine what I hear. Worms sliming, bats hanging, leaves fluttering to the ground, tree trunks heating in the sun. It's true. Every Friday night at dusk, I become a wolf, not a werewolf. Don't say werewolf. A werewolf is a story someone made up to scare little kids. It's a monster that's half man and half wolf at the same time. Me, when I'm a wolf, I'm a wolf. When I'm a boy, I'm a boy. Do you get it? It's not all mixed up. I'm one, and then I'm the other. I change, and I change back. I'm not some knuckle-dragging, hairy-faced monster who eats people. A werewolf changes when he sees the full moon. He can't help it. He has no control over how he acts. It's why he's always going to be alone. You never know if he's going to feed you or eat you. But for me, it's a choice. White Deer told me the recipe, but I choose to follow it. And when I'm a wolf, I'm never alone. A white wolf meets me as I come out of the lighthouse door. She licks my face and my fur. In her throat, she makes happy sounds, and in my throat, the same sounds purr and rumble. Together we go to the woods on the side of the lake that nobody knows. We howl at the moon and we chase rabbits. When we walk through the woods together, The other animals fall back into the shrubs and leap under the fallen trees. Our shoulders touch as we sway along. Our tails flick the wind. We don't speak, of course not, don't be silly. We have calls that mean only true things, not like words. I have one that means, where are you? She has one that means, I'm waiting right here. We have ones that mean, watch out, and there's a rabbit nearby. Don't look, but he's there in the blackberry leaves, and I'm hungry, and I'm tired, and the sun feels good, and this water is cold and fresh, and the one I hate that means it's time for us to say goodbye. On Sunday mornings, I become a boy again. I forget a lot of what happens when I'm in my wolf skin, but I remember enough. When I'm tired, I sleep, curled into her flank, and she watches over me, making soft music in her throat. She's my wolf mother. She's my mother. She followed me here all those years ago. She's been waiting for me to find a way to be with her. The lights in the woods told her. White deer helped her. Those things I know because those are the things she doesn't need words to tell me. The important things, right? The things that matter. I don't know why the change happened to her in the first place, or why she can't change back and be a human during the week like me. Maybe she forgot the recipe. It's why I'm always so careful to do everything the same way every single time. It's like with bread. If you forget the yeast, then the dough won't rise. Only with magic, when the recipe is wrong, what you get is a lot worse than crackers instead of bread. And now that Dean Swift has helped me get rid of Toughman, I'm going to go meet her tonight.